The spokesperson for the World Health Organization, Dr. Margaret Harris, thank you so much for sharing your time with us here on Sky News. Your declaration by the WHO of a global health concern follows authorities in Africa declaring a continental health concern. Why have you elevated this beyond the DRC and neighbouring countries?
So when we declare a public health emergency of international concern, it's our highest level of alarm. And the point is to stop it getting worse. So we don't wait for a thing to get bad. You may remember we declared COVID in January 2020 as a public health emergency of international concern, but it didn't become a pandemic till March. Unfortunately, people didn't listen at that time, but this time we think the world will listen. Now, the reason we're concerned is it's like a variant. It's called Clade 1b. Sorry for the name. It's a variant of what we had seen for many decades that had been endemic in Democratic Republic of Congo and West Africa, East Africa. But this one is spreading very rapidly, and it's spread to countries in Africa that have never seen it before, such as Rwanda, Kenya, Burundi. We're seeing a lot of cases in Burundi and also in Uganda. And these are countries that have got a lot of contact with the rest of the world. But so that's a threat to the rest of the world. But it's really because it's spreading so rapidly, causing so many more cases than we've seen. We've seen in this half year more cases than we saw all of last year. And last year we saw more cases than we were seeing before.
You talked about the spread there. The previous global outbreak in 2022 saw cases across Europe, in North America as well in particular. How concerned are you? And are there any signs in this current situation of it already reaching those parts of the world?
So we're not seeing any signs that it's reached gone beyond Africa as such, but you're quite right. And in 2022, we declared a public health emergency of international concern because we were seeing spread all around the world. And, the world responded very well. The communities affected particularly were really good at risk communication, community engagement, doing things to stop the spread, and they did. So then we took down the public health emergency of international concern then, having achieved that. But now we're seeing it is a different clade. The one we saw that spread around the world in 2022 was clade 2. This is a different clade, but we want to stop it in its tracks.
In 2022, at-risk communities were given vaccines for the variant that was in circulation then. We talked in the introduction about a vaccine for the current variant. Two questions. How long will that take? And would the current vaccine offer any protection in the fight as things stand?
Very good question, Gareth. And that's one of the things that we looked at even before we declared this public health emergency of international concern. We called for manufacturers to submit their vaccines for what we call an emergency use listing. This will enable the partners, particularly UNICEF and Gavi, to procure those vaccines and get them quickly to the affected communities. Now, obviously, a vaccine works by protecting you from getting the infection, so it doesn't help the people that have already got it, but it will slow down not just transmission. The main purpose of a vaccine is to protect you from the illness, but again, it will protect those most at risk, especially, as you mentioned, the children, from severe illness and death. And as you mentioned, this has got a high death rate. So it's critical that we get those vaccines to help prevent that.
Mpox was renamed because of stigmas associated with its previous name. Some of the at-risk groups in the 2022 outbreak were gay men, for example, and there was stigma around that too. Are you seeing any of those issues in 2024?
As yet not, but also the other reason we renamed it was it was just a completely incorrect name. It was called Monkey Pox before because it had been found in monkeys in a zoo in Denmark back in the 50s. It wasn't seen in humans till the 70s. And the animals that transmit it, it's very rarely transmitted by monkeys. It's usually small rodents. So it was altogether just incorrect. But you're right, also giving anything a name of an animal does start stigma. we're not seeing that at the moment. Our main concern is the level of spread and the communities it's in. It's in refugees, in camps, in the really terribly conflict, war-torn areas of Democratic Republic of Congo. So these are people who've already are physically under great stress. They're starving. They're mentally distressed, and we've also seen quite a lot of people with HIV. So again, it's really, really important to mobilize the resources, and we need to really mobilize the financial resources as well and get to work to stop it.